How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. I actually just got back from my last beach trip of the summer. So in this video, I'm going to give my thoughts and reactions to the final preseason game versus the Seahawks that happened on Saturday, where the Packers won 19-15, and we got some more clues on who will and will not end up making this 53-man roster on cutdown day that happens tomorrow. I will also be releasing a final 53-man roster prediction right after this video, so be on the lookout for that as well. All right, so let's dive into my reaction on this game and all my thoughts. I just got done my second watch through of this game, and we're going to start on the offense with the Green Bay Packers. And obviously, we're going to start on Jordan Love, who finished the game 9 of 15, 63 yards, and 1 touchdown. So every single game, Jordan Love has ended up with a touchdown, and every single game, honestly, he has impressed me with different types of things at that quarterback position. Primarily in this game, what I noticed most about Jordan Love was his athletic ability. And I've been saying this all preseason, all offseason, that I think it's one of his most underrated parts of his game, and we're going to see it a lot this year. Jordan Love running the football, Jordan Love extending the play, getting out of the pocket, throwing off balance. And I feel like this was shown the most in this Seattle game. Jordan Love escaped the pocket a bunch, was basically breaking would-be sacks, escaping the pocket, throwing cross body off platform, or just simply running the football for first downs, just outrunning those pass rushers. And like I said earlier, Jordan Love is an athletic quarterback. He's a very athletic quarterback, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him get over 600 yards rushing in his first season as the Packers starting quarterback. I thought Jordan Love moved the pocket very well against the Seattle pass rush and was able to diagnose where that pass rush was coming from and get away from it or stay away from it. We saw that one deep ball to Christian Watson up the left sideline where he pretty much had 3 steps on the defender. It was a little bit underthrown. It was a windy day in that game. So, you would love to see Jordan Love get that high into the outside where Christian Watson can simply run under it, and it's a touchdown, which it could have been if that ball had a little bit more air under it. But the ball did hit Christian Watson in the hands. It was a little bit of a tough catch because it wasn't placed exactly where you'd want it to, but you would still love to see Christian Watson come down with that. But they came right back to Christian Watson near the goal line, throwing a quick fade route to him where he caught a touchdown over the Seattle starting cornerback. So I'm not huge on fade routes on the goal line, but I guess if you were to throwing one to a 6'5" wide receiver like Christian Watson would be the best idea. And Jordan Love did a good job placing that football to the outside to where only Christian Watson can get it. The timing on it was perfect. The cornerback didn't even know the ball was there when it got there, and it was an easy touchdown. So overall, throughout the entire preseason, I have been impressed with Jordan Love, and I'm really excited to see him in a full game against the Chicago Bears defense. There's been so much talk this whole offseason about from Bears fans, how good their team is, and basically saying how bad Jordan Love is, and we're hyping him up over preseason stats and whatnot. But I've been watching all of training camp. I've watched all of preseason, the all 22, all of that sort of thing, and Jordan Love has impressed me. He's made some really wild throws. I'll put one up on the screen here from the all 22, and it ended up incomplete. It was a great pass deflection. It was a throw to the right side on Christian Watson, but it just reminds you of a Patrick Mahomes-esque type of throw, like a sidearm crossbody off balance throw. Just extremely impressive when you see Jordan Love make these types of throws. He has this capability to make those type of throws, and he has the athleticism to do it as well. And that's really exciting, and I can't wait because we are just 13 days away until we get to see it week 1 in a full regular season game. I also thought Sean Clifford played pretty well, 8 of 12, 46 yards. I thought he also showcased his athleticism running for a few first downs. I thought Alex Magoo had an excellent game, only 4 for 5 for 69 yards, but hit Bonds a couple times, especially on that deep throw, just a perfect throw there. Magoo likely will just be the practice squad quarterback. We know Sean Clifford already won that quarterback 2 spot, as Matt LaFleur said last week. As for the running backs on the team, I thought A.J. Dillon ran really hard in this preseason game, and it kind of just reiterates what I've been saying this whole preseason. It just seems like he's, his vision's better this year. He's using his strengths better. His size, barreling over to defenders, finding the open hole, and getting upfield. It seemed like last year he didn't do that too well. His vision wasn't too great, and he really wasn't using, his body size to his advantage. I feel like I've been seeing that a lot more this preseason, so I'm excited to see what we get out of A.J. Dillon this year. As for the other running backs, Patrick Taylor is still my running back 3 right now. And I know a lot of people are going to say, how can you not have Emmanuel Wilson as the running back 3? And, I thought Emmanuel Wilson had a rough game. He was 17 of 49, 2.9 average. So not a great average there. But, he's done so much this preseason where you go, how can you leave him off the 53-man roster? But to me, for running back 3, if the Packers are going to keep one, it still comes down to more than just what they can do running the football, which I think Patrick Taylor is still good at. I think he can still step in if there's an injury at running back, and he can replicate, per se, a A.J. Dillon role. But Patrick Taylor offers you more in the special teams game, the receiving game, and also pass blocking. We did see 1 rep of Emmanuel Wilson pass blocking in this game, and he did good, but we know what we have with Patrick Taylor, and I just feel like the Packers want that. They like the consistency, the veteran ability at that running back 3 to be able to play special teams and be able to come into the offense if they ever needed him to and do basically everything. So for right now, I still have Patrick Taylor as running back 3. He had 6 carries for 24 yards in this game, and I thought he looked pretty good as well. Couple notes on the tight ends I have. Luke Musgrave had 2 catches for 15 yards. I felt like he just continues to get open. He seems like he just finds the open hole in the defense a lot, and Jordan Love is doing a good job at finding him when he is open. I thought Austin Allen looked really good in this game in the blocking game, and I believe he's the top 3 in run blocking for tight ends all of preseason, and in this game he had an 83.1 run blocking grade. So right now, I kind of feel like the Packers could keep him on the 53-man roster. They're really short on tight ends. DeGuara is basically going to be a fullback, so that leaves Musgrave and Tucker Kraft at tight end. And I feel like the Packers usually like to keep at least 4 guys. And DeGuara can be used as a tight end, so that would still only be 3. I feel like the Packers always keep 4 tight ends. So I feel like Austin Allen could definitely make this 53-man roster, considering he has been a good blocking tight end. Going over the wide receivers, interestingly enough, Malik Heath started with the ones to start this game with Romeo Doubs out with that hamstring injury, which we'll definitely have to monitor going into week 1. Hamstrings do tend to linger, so I'm hoping Doubs will be ready to go week 1. But Malik Heath took his spot at that outside wide receiver and again continued to impress. And I'll gladly eat crow on Malik Heath. When I watched his college tape, I was not impressed, but he looks like a completely different player ever since coming here in Green Bay. He looks sort of unenthused at Ole Miss, and I really didn't like what I saw, but he's looked the exact opposite in Green Bay, and he has proven that he deserves to be on this 53-man roster. He had 4 catches for 35 yards, and that's with, starting with the first team offense. And I think he will make this 53-man roster. I think he offers what the Packers like at wide receiver, a tall, physical, run-blocking, able wide receiver that can catch the ball in clutch situations, can go up and get the football and make plays. So right now, Malik is definitely making my 53-man roster, and I'm pretty certain he is going to. They've also continued to use Jayden Reed in the ways we're used to seeing him in. Slot, they used him on a jet sweep. Run play looked really good. He also had a catch for 7 yards. Just excited to see him in this first-team offense come week 1. It was also a really nice game by Jadakiss Bonds. As I said earlier, that awesome deep pass on the left side, the 9 route by Bonds, nice throw by Magoo. He had 2 catches for 60 yards. Him putting up a game like this could definitely bode well for him being one of the practice squad wide receivers. As for the offensive line on this football team, I feel like they've been amazing all preseason, and they will end up being a top 3 offensive line in the NFL. I think they've allowed the least amount of pressures all preseason, and yes, it is just preseason, but this offensive line has so much talent, so much depth, and they're all healthy right now, which is a good thing. Knock on wood. Hopefully there's no injuries that end up happening, or Bakhtiari or something of that sort, but even Bakhtiari hasn't been playing in the preseason, and the Packers still have the best offensive line in terms of pressures. Now, the one player that has been consistently battled that offensive line is Royce Newman. I thought he had another rough game. I thought he didn't block too well. He had 2 false starts. And as of right now, I probably have him off my 53-man roster. A lineman that continues to impress is Rasheed Walker. We saw last week against the Patriots. He started with the ones at left tackle and did really well against the Patriots' first-team defense. He replicated that again against the Seattle Seahawks this week. He started at left tackle and had an 83.3 pass blocking grade. So it seems like the Packers have something real in Rasheed Walker as a backup left tackle, and I'm sure he could play right tackle in a pinch. They were using Yosh Nijman at right tackle, and I've been seeing a lot of chatter on Twitter saying trade Yosh Nijman, trade Yosh Nijman. I don't necessarily agree with that. You don't know the future of David Bakhtiari or the health of David Bakhtiari going into the middle of the season per se, I think you should keep 4 ready tackles on this football team. So Rasheed Walker, Bakhtiari, Josh Nijman, Zach Tom, because Zach Tom might need to move inside at some point this season. So then you're, running 1 less tackle. And they also have Caleb Jones, who could definitely make this roster. I just feel like you don't trade Josh Nijman unless someone comes out and says, here's a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Now, all the guards, Sands, Royce Newman, I thought blocked really well. John Runyon Jr., Ellen Jenkins, Sean Ryan, I thought they all blocked really well in this game. Also, an important note, John Runyon Jr. Was the 2nd center after Josh Myers. So it seems like they're going to be going into this season, their 53-man roster, with just 1 center, 1 true center on the roster in Josh Myers, because we know Zach Tom can play center, Elton Jenkins can play center, and now it seems like the Packers are kind of testing John Runyon Jr. at center. So maybe, if they don't like what they see in Josh Myers, they would slide Runyon in at center, Zach Tom in at right guard, or something of that sort, and maybe either Nijman or Walker at right tackle. And that's if, Josh Myers continues to struggle. But it seems like I said, they're going to go into the season with 1 center, and it's going to be Josh Myers because they have so much versatility and all the other guys. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, I liked what I saw from Lucas Van Ness in this game. All preseason games, he's made a couple flash plays where you see him get into the backfield, but he doesn't make the tackle. And the same happened here, but he forced, a negative play on one of the first runs in the game where he penetrated into the backfield and allowed Kenny Clark to basically finish that tackle in the backfield. And he also had an 83.8 PFF grade. I've liked what I've seen from Lucas Van Ness, especially in the run game. He's looked really, really solid, being able to be in the right place, control the linemen and plug up those running lanes. So I really liked what I've seen with him. Another rookie that looked great and has looked great all preseason was Carrington Valentine in this game. He had that almost pick 6 on the right sideline. Definitely should have caught that, and he should have easily had a touchdown there. But the point is, his ability to jump that ball, he's been doing it all preseason, and he's just been a ball hawk flying around the field. It seems like every preseason game he's been making plays. Right now he's definitely cornerback 4, and it kind of gives us a lot more patience for Eric Stokes. If we didn't have someone like Carrington Valentine, there'd maybe be a little bit more stress of who's that cornerback for. What if someone like Rasul gets hurt for a game? What are the Packers going to do? At this moment, if someone like Rasul got hurt, I feel very comfortable just plugging Carrington Valentine in there, and I think the Packers defense would still be good. He's looked really good. I thought he also tackled really well in this game. Multiple times there was some swing passes to the outside, and he comes flying up and makes a solid tackle. So it's not only in the coverage game, but the tackling game, he looked great. I think my player of the day on the defense is Brenton Cox Jr., and he's been good in all 3 preseason games and actually led the Packers in pressures for all 3 preseason games with 7 total pressures. He had 3 pressures in this game. He had a batted down ball. It just seems like whenever he's in the game, when I'm watching the defense, I'm watching him, he's pressuring the quarterback in some way or moving the lineman back in some way almost every single play. And it really just showcases this guy's potential and talent and why, without off the field issues, he would have been a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick. And at this point, I don't think there's any way the Packers keep him off their 53-man roster. I would be absolutely shocked if they ended up trying to sneak him on their practice squad, because another team will 100% sign Brenton Cox Jr., and I would be devastated because the raw potential this guy offers. And I know he would be your 6th edge, and he might not see many snaps on defense to start, but it's the potential, right? Preston Smith's only getting older. How long will Justin Hollins really be here? The Packers could have an amazing rotation of edge players in the coming years with Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Enigbare, and Brenton Cox Jr. So I think they 100% have to keep him. He's shown that. He's proven that all this preseason. He's looked great. The Packers need to keep him. He also had an 86.0 PFF grade in this game. I've also thought Isaiah McDuffie has filled in very, very nicely in the absence of Devondre Campbell. We kind of got an update on Campbell. I believe it was yesterday. He said, we have 2 weeks left. We'll see if I end up playing in week 1. So it seems like there's definitely some worry there that Devondre Campbell might not be ready to go week 1. And that brings me back to my point that Isaiah McDuffie has filled in really nicely, and I thought he's looked great in that spot. And yeah, again, it's just preseason, and you're playing against like Drew Lock and a backup running back, so it's not the same thing. But during practice and preseason, I thought he has filled in nice. He's been making sound tackles, right place, right time. He did have a pass interference in this game, but that's not a big worry there. But I thought he's looked nice next to Quay Walker. The Packers also have Eric Wilson and Tariq Carpenter, but I don't see Tariq Carpenter making this roster, and Jimmy Phillips Jr., who has looked good all preseason, probably a practice squad inside linebacker. But, if we go into week 1 and Devondre Campbell's still maybe not ready yet, I do feel comfortable with Isaiah McDuffie out there. Cornerback Tyrell Ford also had a really nice game. He was actually the highest graded cornerback for the Packers. I believe he played slot cornerback and had an 89.3 grade, so bodes well for him being one of the practice squad cornerbacks, which is kind of where I have him right now at this point. And then we saw at the end of the game, safety Benny Sapp, the undrafted free agent, ended the game with an interception. I thought he had a nice game as well. He's likely going to end up being one of the practice squad players. So, a lot of these back-end roster players that don't really have a chance to make the 53, are still fighting in this game to try to be on that practice squad. And I think Benny Sapp, Tyrell Ford, and a couple other guys did a good job at that. As for the special teams, I have a couple notes here. I noticed that Samori Toure continues to be kind of the backup returner at both kick return and punt return. So I think, obviously, we know Nixon's going to be kick return. I believe they're going to start Reed at punt return. But Toure offers, a depth spot there. He can return kicks, can return punts. He looks natural returning punts. He looks pretty natural returning kicks. He did have that one mess up, I believe it was last game, where he kind of dropped the ball at the 1, had to pick it up, and only got to like the 6-yard line. So he did have one mess up there. But I think he has looked natural there. Kind of underwhelmed with what I've seen from him on offense. I feel like, he could have done more. I'm a huge Samori Toure supporter. I still think he makes this roster. But I think he's kind of definitely been overshadowed by someone like Malik Heath, who's just been getting a lot of targets, and rightfully so. He's been making plays. So we'll see how the wide receiver room shapes out. I have both those guys making it. I don't think it's one or the other by any means. I think Toure, Heath, both of those guys make it. So especially with Toure offering, his capabilities on special teams. Anders Carlson had a great game. It's like clockwork. He has a horrible practice, then has a great game, or he has a horrible game and a great practice. It's still just showcasing the inconsistencies, but I got to give him credit. Awesome game in this game, hit a 43-yarder, a 50, I think 8-yarder. So he showed his real leg there. I know his problems is more so accuracy. It's not the power. So he has the power to hit long field goals. It's more so the accuracy. He did have one PAT block, but I think it was just an excellent play by that Seattle defender. I don't think there was anything wrong with Anders or the holder or anything of that sort. It could have gone a little bit faster, but nonetheless, it's a great play by that Seattle defender. But Carlson, I thought, had a great game, and it's very evident that he's going to be our kicker, and there's going to be some growing pains, but he has shown his potential in certain scenarios, such as this game hitting that long field goal. As for a couple other special teams notes, Eric Wilson continues to look great on special teams. Him and Donald Levitt were the two highest graded special teamers, Levitt being number 1 with a 75.6 PFF grade. So it seems like the Packers, could still keep Donald Levitt as a special teamer. I don't want to see him as a safety. I think they have other players like Anthony Johnson Jr. I'd much rather see at safety and on the defense if it comes down to it. But they definitely could still keep Don Levitt just for solely special teams, and I think they definitely keep Eric Wilson for special teams as a 4th linebacker. But that about does it for my thoughts and reactions for the Green Bay Packers' final preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. Super excited. We're 13 days away from finally seeing Jordan Love as quarterback 1 of the Green Bay Packers going into the 2023 regular season, and what better that it is against the Chicago Bears, the greatest rivalry in the NFL. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I do think the Packers come away with a win against the Bears in week 1, and we finally get to see the potential of this football team. As I said, cut down day is tomorrow. I'll be releasing a 53-man roster video right after this, so if you are a new viewer on this channel and you want more Packers news, analysis, and updates every single day, go down and click that subscribe button to not miss any of the content. But that about does it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below. It supports my channel a ton. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.